Well guys, it's been another interesting week. Norrie and I were busy last night recording a couple of special items which I managed to get up on air. Joan McAlpine was covered. Well, let's go to where we usually do, which was what about issues that we predicted would come up and performance. Issues that you predicted, Norrie, that jobs would come up, and it did.
It did. I mean, I can understand why Joanne Lamont keeps repeating this: 400 women losing their jobs every day, repeat, drip feed, torture, you know.
It's also International Women's Day today.
Yeah, but she said it every week.
But I know you've also got the question.
She has to find a different way of saying it.
How about her, not so much her overall performance? She started off with the Joan McAlpine Daily Record article.
Yeah.
Storms. What did you think? How did she get on with bringing that up?
She did it badly because
very badly,
she didn't read the article, or she did read the article and ignored the way it was structured. Okay, right. There's going to be a lot of people out there who haven't read the article and are just going to take what she says at face value. But you know, I don't see the mileage in ranting on about something that's inaccurate. There's enough mistakes made in the world that you can find a mistake that's accurate. I mean, this idea that Jo McAlpine was somehow undermining women, on the contrary, she was simply using an example that could be understood.
It's abuse of power.
I totally agree. It had absolutely nothing to do with women at all, and it was about abuse of power. But of course, if you choose to read it like that, then you should really take your blinkers off and participate in democracy, which is about the open and free exchange of ideas, and that is exactly what Joan McAlpine was doing. She was putting it in a very provocative way, and she did it extremely well. And actually, if you look at the response, I should imagine she got the response from the unionists that she was expecting. That's why she did it. So I would give her...
Yeah, but I mean, from the point of view of...
It's a very good article.
On sitting in the Parliament trying to score points.
Yeah.
I mean, the point to score today was this guy, Bill Walker, who's been through apparently three abusive marriages. She hinted, but why didn't she just get her boots in?
Exactly. I mean, particularly after last week.
Harbouring a man that abuses women. You know, I mean, that was the way to go as far as I'm concerned. If you're going to be nasty, be bloody nasty. Don't muck about. Don't, you know, if you're going to punch somebody, don't tell them you're going to do it. Just do it.
She should watch her own recording. Maybe she does. But after last week, they were very good, and I thought Salmon was very good this week. He was on his high horse.
There was nothing.
He wasn't smug and smart.
Well, there wasn't anything that you couldn't be prepared for. That was a start.
Well, she did. I mean, she did not look confident. She doesn't look good on her feet. In fact, you know, I think we all thought at the beginning, right, she's stumbling, she's getting used to it. Well, now she's doing it all the time. I mean, last week was a good week. This week she didn't look like the politician that's going to lead a government in Scotland.
Well, let's come back, before we come back to the detail, let's performance from Joanne out of 10?
4. Not impressed this week.
Phil?
I'll be faithful to my party roots and give a 5.
Ruth Davidson, performance?
Well, she's worked it out. Keep it short. Don't let him off the hook. If he doesn't answer the question, take your second bite of the cherry. Try and force it. What she actually did this week was good, because she had the stats in front of her. When Salmon didn't come back with an answer, she gave the answer she was looking for. So clever. She got it there. Professional.
I said delivery wasn't bad, but the content wasn't there, because when you actually had a look at the amount on the retail that was actually, she was being a bit disingenuous, that were actually affected by this tax. There's hardly anything, and what it's going to. I'd say she was well in her delivery, but the content, so I'd give her the same as Joanne.
It was confused because on the one hand, you know, she's saying that the Tories have changed their position, they're going to support minimum pricing. Now it confused me.
Yeah.
In the same breath, she talks about the retail, the
level.
Tesco. Well, it's called, we know it better as the Tesco tax.
But we all sat here and went, yes. So the problem is they're going to get a 0.01% levy. The minimum price on alcohol is going to put another how much in their pockets?
Has anybody seen the level of
Are they not
profits?
simply taking the profit?
Can we just come back to the point, the very point that you made? Her opening ruined it, because on Twitter, as well as myself and you, we couldn't quite figure out what she was talking about, because on the one hand she was talking about minimum pricing for alcohol, and in the same sentence she was talking about the Tesco tax. Well, which is it? That didn't help. That was bad. That was bad judgment.
She still looks more professional.
Well, she does. Well, what about her? So what are you going to give her out of 10?
I'll give her 6.
Phil?
She was marginally better, wasn't she? That's a
It's not you, just you, Phil.
I'll give her 6. I'm
You'll
sorry,
give her
Joanne
6.
really needs to. And like you said, try and find another way to talk about, or just move on.
Well, one more, because let's stick to the start, and then we can get into the day. Willie Rennie. Now, it was left very late. It was running out of time by the time Willie Rennie got up.
I've had to look at my notes. I couldn't remember what he said.
Oh yeah, I remember totally what he said, because
You know, I mean,
He was confused, I thought. I thought he was terrible, to be honest. I think it was a very bad performance. He's never very good, but that was awful.
yeah, I'd say his performance.
Murdoch, he thought he really didn't. He wanted to go on the Murdoch Association with Salmond, and I'm sorry. I'm not saying it's an open goal, but if you're going to go on that, you really have to have a very precise question.
If they're going to do it, they have to put it into a Scottish context. Because none of them have met with Murdoch. That means their hands are clean within a Scottish context. And they're not doing that. They can't do that because they're unionists. So they have to carry the can for the party heads in London, who have all met with Murdoch, who have all discussed things with Murdoch,
You know,
who
the
have
holidays.
all been to parties and whatever with Murdoch.
Oh yeah.
So until they decide that this is a Scottish issue, not a UK issue,
Okay.
Salmond will always be able to come back at them.
So what do you think about Willie Rennie out of 10?
I'm going to give him a 4, but that's as much to do with he didn't have the opportunity
He was very
to make a
late.
bigger fool of himself.
Well, perhaps, yes. Phil?
Well, I'd say he was inept in his delivery, but it resonated with me as well. I mean, when you're talking about all the others, yeah, they've all got dirt in their hands, they've all been to parties. Now,
But it's still Murdoch.
Salmonder's First Minister should know the man is a reptile. He's poison. He's toxic.
We're not-
He's
we're not-
got a half-life of 100,000 years in
We're talking
radioactivity.
Murdoch.
Murdoch, yeah. He should have avoided it. Well, you could talk, as he's a media head, but to
Didn't take
invite
much to get him going here.
him into Butte House. I mean, how much did it cost him to fumigate the place after that? I mean, I think was a
Yes,
great mistake.
did you-
So
did
I'll
you-
give Rennie his due in actually getting people to
That's
think
fair
about
enough.
that.
That's fair enough. I came up with maybe it's just a silly idea, but I'm trying to imagine what on earth they talked about at Butte House last week. You know, let's not. But
How brilliant each are.
there is a wait a minute. There is a Sky TV Ireland. What if you suggested to someone that we'll start a Sky TV Scotland within the next 6 months, and they'll support Scottish independence? Now that would keep Salmon's mouth shut, wouldn't it?
Well, Lamont's mouth shut.
It would keep Salmon's mouth shut until if such a thing was launched.
Right.
Salmon would just take the brickbats. If that was going to happen, I mean,
Because I think that's the payoff for Salmond. I think there's jobs somewhere down the line.
well, yes, at least jobs.
I do. I think there's jobs.
I mean, you have to be totally non-party political and be completely objective and have a look at the position that all these leaders are put in, you know, and if you're sitting there and, I mean, you know, that idea of jam today, jam tomorrow, and if you can't get jam today, and if there's a chance, that's your job at the end of the day. If it's toxic jam, well, you've got to really take the chance, haven't you?
I mean, the guy.
I'd give
there's
him
6,000 jobs in
Yeah.
Scotland.
Yeah, well, of
It's
course.
I mean, you ignore them
Yeah.
at your peril in a lot of ways.
All right, come back to the meat that you wanted to get into. Colin Braid, it was interesting that that wasn't going to be contentious. He was known to them all the politicians.
Well, apparently he's actually donated to all the major parties in Scotland.
Well,
He left the Labour Party
and joined the
in
Tories. And then he joined
2009, and then he resigned November last year from the Tories.
No, I'm quite sure he's given money to the SNP.
He supported the Scottish Government's position in regard to the Supreme Court in London.
Yeah.
You know, as a high-flying QC, that was quite an interesting contribution at the time.
Saw an interesting tweet there was somebody, it was one of the papers, must have been Scotsman, I think, saying basically, why are you respecting this man after him getting all these criminals off?
Yes, I did see that. But let's not dwell on that because the International Women's Day. So that Salmond covered two items: Paul McBride on behalf of everybody, Women's Day on behalf of everybody, really. And then, of course, Joanne Lamont opened with Joan McAlpine.
I mean,
Was that a wise move?
No.
I think she went the wrong way. I mean, the problem with the article is it opened a door and everybody's charging through it. Read the article, and basically what Joan's been accused of is not what she wrote.
I know. Well, it's the usual story.
No, and there's been a lot worse things written about the SNP.
It was the same the last time she was put in the hot seat. She was accused of being anti-English. She's never mentioned England at all. It was anti-independence political parties she was attacking. I'm perfectly entitled to do that. She's pro-independence. There's nothing.
Yeah.
What can you say about it?
Personally, she should keep it up because she's obviously very effective. I mean, the paranoia that comes to the other side. But what happened? The same thing's just happened in Westminster. Just to jump on with Jenny Tom, liberal. She's a liberal peer, and she'd made a remark about Israel if Israel carries on the way it is and all that. And then they all started howling and jumping that the whip has been removed, which I think is absolutely disgusting. I mean, that's from Miliband.
Look, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off here. Yeah,
but it's the same. It's a similar sort of thing. They all jump on a bandwagon and don't see the wood for the trees.
Yes, we don't. I don't know how many of our viewers, listeners will know. I know what the name is. I've no idea what the fuss was about. Although I kind of do.
Just Google it, you'll find out.
It's all right. I kind of do. We could spend ages talking about Israel. Joanne Lamont, SNP policies were putting women out of work. And was what she said. Oh, Joanne said. Sorry, yes, Joanne.
Well, I mean, again, they've got to thump that tub because all they understand is the way it's done at Westminster. I mean, they're apprentices for Westminster, these guys and women. And you know, you as opposition, you accuse the government of being responsible for everything. I mean, anybody, a bit of a biscuit arse.
What about
understands this budget is dictated by Westminster.
What about sound bites? What are we going to hear from the
Manana government? What does she mean by that?
Is that what you call them?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, Manana.
Things will be better.
Yeah, things
tomorrow.
Manana tomorrow.
The best one was bought and sold from Murdoch's Gold.
Oh yeah, that was.
But that'll turn up, of course.
And that one she brought up about some tax benefit Murdoch's getting. What's that about? That wasn't expanded on in any way. Now, if that's true,
But Murdoch's getting a tax benefit in
if
Scotland.
Salmond has promised Murdoch some sort of tax benefit,
They should be crucified.
why aren't they kicking his head in over it?
I think the suggestion is that in an independent Scotland, or a Scotland with corporation tax controlling powers,
Well,
that Rupert would move
that I was actually surprised Salmond let that one slide.
They probably treated it with the contempt it deserved because it probably, it doesn't have any substance.
It's very
It's
speculative,
illusion,
that's really what it is.
That's why she never alluded to it because she'd have made a fuss about
I
it.
was kind of stunned. I'm going, wait a minute, this is the Labour leader party knows something about tax benefits being given to Murdoch, and we know nothing about
No,
it.
I think it is. It's pure speculation that in an independent Scotland, the corporation tax would be lowered, and therefore companies like News International would move to.
So it's muck.
Smear.
Would move their
That's all
headquarters to
it's
Scotland.
Yeah, sounds like it because if you had any evidence on that, you would come straight in with all guns firing, and it's obviously just something thrown.
I see Scammon managed on soundbite. Salmon come back with Alistair Darling's quote about making deeper cuts than Thatcher.
That's getting a bit repetitive as well.
Well, actually, yeah, but it's
Come up with
something.
a new one.
It's something that's worth repeating as well, because you have to know where you stand when someone that comes in is having to go at a government about cutting this, cutting that, and then they're prepared to come in and actually take the legs out from under you completely. It is. But one thing I thought was, which I thought, well, my brain automatically went, yes, a living wage. Which I thought was with Salmon came in. Supporting the living wage. That was...
The other one was, which surprised me, 10,000 more jobs women in jobs in the last year than a year ago.
I'm always worried, always doubtful of all these statistics that get thrown around inside the chamber, because
Lies, damn lies and statistics, you can make figures do whatever you like.
The reason really that I brought it up was that Joanne then went on to say, oh, they're not full-time jobs, they're part-time jobs, you don't know what you're talking about. But I'm sorry, 10,000 more is a big figure.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Whether they're part-time or full-time.
Yeah, but if you pay off 5,000 people and then make 10,000 new jobs at part-time, you can say you created 5,000 jobs when you actually haven't.
Right, fair enough. Look, Salmon didn't actually, it's not actually a soundbite, but he did actually rebuke Joanne for asking 6 questions badly when she could have just asked 1.
Yeah, that wasn't very good the way that, I mean, particularly again after last week. And last week she was absolutely superb. I mean, they were equals. She was really very good.
Overconfident this week?
I don't know, maybe she go back and study the question times from last week, because it was very good, but this week it was
very confusing. Everybody, I mean, Willie Rennie, the question was, as far as I'm concerned, stupid. But
it's alright, we're not going to be
both Ruth Davidson and Joanne Lamont both were very confused, and they don't seem to have worked out that, you know, what you're there to do is to find a chink in the armour and then widen it.
Yeah.
And you can't do that with, you know, 17 different implements. You need one implement to go and do it properly.
But you shouldn't criticise Rennie for being consistent.
Can either of you expand on the Operation Motorman? Was that the original inquiry?
Was that not the Scottish inquiry into the hacking allegations?
Was it?
Or
was it not UK wide? Was that? I must admit, there are all these different.
I think
there's the Levinson inquiry.
I think it's obviously going to be worth looking at if we can get our hands on it, because it's obviously going to show the SNP had nothing to do with anything, and everybody else had dirty hands.
Well, it also shows actually, from what he did say, it wasn't just the SNP, but Scotland.
It was fairly clear
that the dirt is south of the border. But then that is, well, sorry, dirt, underhand behaviour and all sorts of horrific things. British government, full marks for consistency.
It's true. Here's a soundbite that Alex Salmon came up with, of course, in regard to the Lib Dems. That the Lib Dems are holier than thou, and they repeat the moan into sanctimonious.
That was good.
But the moan into sanctimonious.
Yeah, that was
sanctimonious.
And it's actually spot on, because that is the Liberals all over, isn't it? I mean, we are so marvellous. We are just vote us in, and we'll still be marvellous, even though we'll completely mess everything up.
I thought towards the end there, Kenny Gibson, there were 2 placed questions, and the second one was Kenny Gibson about the GERS, the latest financial figures comparing Scotland and England, or Scotland and the UK. Salmon sounded very confident about their version of what these figures mean. He always does, of course. But we got the impression they're going to keep saying it when they believe they're right and effective.
The other thing that I've noticed over the last 2 weeks, is Cameron started it with his Scotland can stand on their own, you know, when he came up to Edinburgh. Michael Moore started it as well. He's doing we're not saying Scotland can't stand on their own. So the figures are going to trip them up if they say anything else. And I think that at some point, May, June, there's going to be a set of figures that come out from the SNP that absolutely blow the subsidy idea out of the water.
Possibly what it is then.